Off the coast of North Carolina in 1587, an English colony vanished without a trace. 115 men, women, and children gone. The only clue, a single word carved into a wooden post. Croatoan. No bodies, no struggle, no explanation. Just silence. And a question that has haunted America for over 400 years. August 1590. Governor John White has been away for 3 long years. He finally sets foot back on Roanoke Island, the colony he left behind. He steps ashore. There is no sound, no movement. The houses are still standing, but they are hollow, empty, not even embers in the fire pits. It is as if the people simply ceased to exist. White searches frantically, and then he finds it, carved deep into a large wooden post, clear and deliberate. C-R-O-A-T-O-A-N. Nothing else. That single word launched the longest-running mystery in American history. 115 people disappeared without a trace. No one ever found them. And to this day, we still don't have a definitive answer. This is the story of the lost colony of Roanoke. But to understand this mystery, we have to go back to the late 1580s, to an age when the English Empire was desperately trying to plant its flag in the New World, and everything kept going wrong. Before we go further, if you're drawn to America's unexplained events, its paranormal mysteries, and the darkest corners of its history, subscribe to Mystionics USA right now. Every week, a new secret. Every week, a new truth. Ready? Let's go. In 1584, Queen Elizabeth I granted Sir Walter Raleigh a charter to establish an English colony in North America. The goal was clear: challenge Spain's dominance in the New World, open overseas trade routes, and plant the English flag on these shores. Raleigh moved quickly. In 1585, the first English group arrived on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina, in present-day Dare County. But this first attempt failed. Conflicts with local Native American tribes, dwindling food supplies, and a delayed resupply ship forced the colonists to abandon the settlement and return to England in 1586. But Raleigh wasn't done. 1587, Raleigh devised a new plan. This time, it wouldn't just be soldiers, families would be sent. A permanent settlement would be built. John White was appointed governor, a gifted artist who had personally observed North America's landscape and its people on a previous expedition. 115 men, women, and children set sail with him. Their destination was not Roanoke. They were supposed to settle at Chesapeake Bay. But the fleet's pilot, Simon Fernandez, changed the plan. He wanted to return to profitable privateering and simply drop the colonists at Roanoke. The settlers found themselves stranded on a previously abandoned island, unprepared and on their own. August 18, 1587. Governor White's daughter Eleanor gave birth to a baby girl. They named her Virginia, the first English child born in the New World. It was the colony's happiest moment. But happiness did not last long. The colony's resources drained rapidly. Relations with local tribes were complicated. Some were friendly, others hostile. And during a botched raid, white soldiers accidentally attacked a friendly village and killed one of its members. Tensions escalated. Food supplies reached critical levels. The colonists asked one thing of White: go back to England and bring help. White reluctantly agreed. He departed in late August 1587. When he arrived in England, the country was on a war footing. The Spanish Armada was preparing to attack. Queen Elizabeth ordered all ships to remain in England. None could leave. White was desperate. He wanted to return to his colony, but he couldn't. In 1588, the Spanish Armada was defeated. But that didn't solve White's problems. Raleigh had fallen out of the Queen's favor, and funding for another expedition became increasingly difficult. White managed to secure 2 small vessels, but they were attacked by pirates, damaged, and forced to turn back. Finally, August 18th, 1590, exactly 3 years later. And that very day happened to be his granddaughter Virginia Dare's 3rd birthday. White stepped onto the island, and what he found, or rather, what he failed to find, shattered him. The houses were gone, not destroyed, carefully dismantled and removed. That detail mattered. A panicked population fleeing in terror does not take its houses apart and carry them away. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no bodies, just absence, and 2 clues: the letters C-R-O carved into a tree, and the word Croatoan carved into a large wooden post. White knew what the word meant. Before leaving, he had made an agreement with the colonists. If they had to abandon the settlement, carve your destination into a tree. If you are in danger, add a cross. There was no cross. This was a planned departure. Croatoan, what is now Hatteras Island, was a nearby island, home to a friendly tribe of the same name. White immediately tried to reach Croatoan Island, but a storm struck. The ship's anchors were lost. The crew panicked. The captain ordered a retreat. White objected and was overruled. And so, in perhaps the most agonizing timing in history, White never reached his colonists again. He returned to England. He never made it back to Roanoke. In the years that followed, Jamestown colonists received troubling and intriguing reports from local tribes. Powhatan chiefs spoke of people who wore English-style clothing and built English-style homes. John Smith recorded these accounts in the early 1600s. A Powhatan visitor named Machumps told William Strachey that the Roanoke colonists had lived peacefully among native communities until warriors sent by Chief Wahunsonacock attacked them in 1607, the very year Jamestown was founded. So what really happened? Today we have several theories, and remarkably, recent archaeological evidence lends serious weight to some of them. Theory 1. The colonists moved to Croatoan, Hatteras Island. This was John White's own interpretation of the carved message, and archaeology strongly supports it. Excavations at Cape Creek on Hatteras Island have recovered 16th century English artifacts, iron fragments, English ceramics found alongside native pottery, a slate writing tablet, parts of a 16th century firearm, and even a gold signet ring. Theory 2. Part of the colony moved inland. The breakthrough came in 2012 when First Colony Foundation researchers examined a map painted by John White, held at the British Museum in London. Hidden beneath a patch, in what appears to be invisible ink, were the outlines of 2 forts. One of them sat exactly 50 miles west of Roanoke, and the colonists had told White they intended to move precisely that distance inland. At sites in Bertie County, North Carolina, now known as Site X and Site Y, archaeologists uncovered 16th century English ceramics, Surrey, Hampshire borderware, North Devon baluster jars, and hammer scale waste from active metalworking, suggesting the colonists were working and living there. In 2023 and 2024, the first Colony Foundation's excavations at Elizabethan Gardens in Manteo produced new findings: Algonquian pottery sherds dating to the 1500s, and a ring made of drawn copper wire. Native communities did not have the technology to produce that kind of copper strand. The English brought it as a trade good. It was likely a warrior's earring. Copper carried deep spiritual significance for indigenous peoples. The proximity of these items strongly suggests the English and the Algonquians were living side by side. But darker theories also exist. According to Jamestown records, a Powhatan chief, Wahunsanakok, ordered the massacre of the Roanoke colonists and the native people living with them in 1607, precisely when Jamestown was being established. The motive was likely fear. The growing English presence threatened his territorial control. Under this theory, the colonists had survived for nearly 2 decades, only to be destroyed by the very expansion they had once represented. In 1998, a separate line of evidence emerged. Scientists analyzing tree ring data from Virginia found that the years 1587 through 1589 saw one of the most severe droughts in 800 years. The colonists had arrived at the worst possible moment, their food sources already stretched thin by a catastrophic dry spell. That drought, wherever the colonists went, almost certainly made relocation unavoidable. Research is still ongoing. DNA studies conducted among the Lumbee tribe and other indigenous communities in the region have identified possible European genetic markers, but the results remain contested and inconclusive. Scientists continue working toward clearer answers. Then there are the Dare Stones. Between 1937 and 1941, a series of inscribed rocks surfaced, purportedly written by Eleanor Dare, messages describing the colonists' fate addressed to her father, John White. Investigations eventually concluded that the vast majority were forgeries. The first stone remains debated by a small number of academics, but the prevailing view is that it too is a fraud. More than 430 years have passed. Archaeologists keep digging, historians keep theorizing, geneticists keep analyzing DNA. And here is what we can say. The colonists probably did not simply vanish. The evidence increasingly suggests they dispersed, some to Hatteras Island, others inland, and assimilated into native communities. But probably still as far as we can go. No complete answer exists. Today, Fort Riley National Historic Site in North Carolina welcomes visitors every year. Every summer since 1937, The Lost Colony, an outdoor drama, has been performed on the same shores where those colonists once lived. It is the longest-running outdoor drama in American history, because this story never ended. It never closed. Think about it. 115 people, present one morning, gone the next. Their homes carefully taken apart and carried away. No panic, no rush. Just that one word. And behind that word, whatever decisions were made, whatever fear or hope drove them, we will never fully know. Roanoke remains America's oldest unanswered question. Did the mystery of Roanoke get under your skin? At Mysteionix USA, we explore America's unexplained events, paranormal mysteries, and the darkest corners of its history, every single week. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Don't miss a single secret. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button below. We'll see you in the next mystery.